see some faces. Perfect. All right. So yes, there will be a recording of this today, and we're also going to send you a link to the slide share after. So if any of you, depending on your note-taking preferences, you will have access to this whole entire slide share. So you can take the notes that you feel are relevant. And if there's stuff on the slides that you want access to later and don't want to have to write every little thing down, you'll get access to that as well, including some links that we have in here. So today is the third website Wednesday of our series. So we're going to talk about how to drive traffic to your website, specifically more for service-based businesses. E-commerce is a little bit of a different thing, but it can apply to that as well. And let's go ahead and dive in. My name is Cara Wolf. So for any of you that are just diving in right now or haven't met me before, I own Websites by Cara. It's a small website design and SEO agency based here in Durango, Colorado. I am a Squarespace expert, a Platinum Circle partner, and a certified SEO expert. So my thing really is around website design, custom website design, and SEO, but I have a background in graphic design, marketing. And for me, the website is just such a central hub of everything that it can't really coexist without all these other strategies. So this has been just a really nice kind of organic way to get into website topics that are in and around some of these other topics around marketing, SEO, traffic, conversion, things like that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first, I just wanted to take a moment to recap on the last two Website Wednesdays we had. The very first one that was in January, we talked about finding your target audience. So identifying that target audience, putting together a buyer persona. Basically, the point of that was making sure that you're A, finding the right people, and B, actually selling something that people want to buy. And then the second one we did in February was all around website conversions. So the idea being that you can send an infinite amount of traffic to your website, but if your website's not converting, if people get there and they leave, then your business isn't going to grow. You're leaving money on the table. And then today, we're going to be talking about how to drive traffic to your website. So the idea being is these first three workshops we did are sort of a tripod of business growth, right? So if you're reaching the right people and selling a product people want to buy, and your website's converting, people get there and they're actually going to take some sort of action. And then that third piece is actually driving a decent amount of traffic to your website, your business will grow. That's kind of the formula that we're building these first three workshops on. So if you missed one of the first two workshops in January and February related to those topics, there is still a replay, so you can jump on that. Today's topic, sending traffic to your website, how to get more traffic to your website, can stand alone. If you feel like your website's converting pretty well, you're already getting some sales, you're getting calls, you feel like you've already identified your audience, this is a great place to jump in. So basically what we're going to talk about today is the first thing is just clarifying what a sales funnel is. So when we talk about driving traffic to your website, we have to kind of touch on what a sales funnel is, because the website is kind of the end of that buyer journey, and you're going out and you're casting a net using different marketing strategies, getting people to your website, getting them into your communication system, whether it's an email list or they're picking up the phone calling you or purchasing a product. So this is the sales funnel. And I just feel like while there is a lot of information on sales funnels, I think it's a little confusing, just that whole buyer journey process. So I want to just kind of clarify what that means, in particular related to your website and how it's all going to tie together. And then I'm going to talk about 6 specific types of lead generation. So these are marketing strategies to drive traffic to your website. So that's what we want. We want ways to get people to our website so that they can take action and ultimately buy a service or a product. And then the last little piece is running a cost benefit analysis. And what this is I'm going to give you some tips on identifying on how to identify which of these lead generation strategies are going to bring you the highest return on investment. So based on what you'd need to invest in terms of money or time on a particular strategy, and then kind of a little formula around, well, what do I have to consider for my business? Like which one of these is going to be the least amount of work for the most amount of money? That's the cost benefit analysis. Because Not all lead generation strategies are the same, right? And depending on your business, where you're at, the people you're reaching, the products you're selling, your profit margins, there's a lot to consider when deciding which one's going to bring you the best result. And as business owners, that right there is the biggest driver of our growth. There's nothing like spending a bunch of time or money on something only to hear crickets, right? We want to be focusing on things that actually drive the revenue needle. So that's what we're going to be talking about at the end. And then just some little bit of time for Q&A. So any questions you have related to today's topics or really anything, I'm happy to dive into that. So the first thing is just clarifying a little bit of what a sales funnel is. I could also refer to this as the buyer journey. So if this is something familiar with, this can just be a recap for you, but I just want to make sure I cover this for anyone that is just a little unclear about this buyer journey in this process. So what I've always found kind of confusing is that to me, the sales funnel always looks upside down. Like I always feel like I want the smaller part on top and the bigger part on bottom. But basically what this is you can think of it as one of those little funnel cups that you stick in and you pour liquid in. The biggest part is right at top, right, to collect the most liquid. Because if you try to pour all that liquid in the tiny little spigot that's at the bottom, it's going to go everywhere. So basically, that's what we do with our lead generation. We're trying to cast a wide net and get as many people as possible and kind of funnel them down and lead them through what I like to consider the buyer journey, which is the different stages that they're interacting with your brand or your business and making those decisions. So at the very top here, the very top of this funnel, these are people that they may not even know that they even have an issue. They may not even know they have a pain point, right? Because what drives someone to purchase something? They're trying to solve a problem. So whether it's a service or a product, your audience is out there, and the people kind of at the widest part of the net right here, they may not even know they have an issue. And then the next part of the funnel is someone who they know they've identified their pain point. They know they have an issue. They know they need some help with XYZ, but they haven't really searched. They haven't really researched yet. And then there's the middle of funnel. So this is people that actively are searching for a solution. Sorry about the dogs. Somebody's walking by. So these are people that are actively searching for a solution. They know they have an issue. They're in research mode. These are what I would consider, warmish leads because they're ready to looking for something. And then the bottom of funnel. So it's kind of the opposite of what you think. So top of funnel, TOF is top of funnel. They know they have an issue, but they haven't really gotten around to figuring out if they can get a solution. Middle of funnel, they're searching for a solution, and bottom of funnel is the tiny bit of the spigot, and they're ready to buy. These are your warmest leads. So you've probably heard the statistic. There's only about 3% of your audience is actually ready to buy today. So that everyone throws that number around. So the idea with the sales funnel and the buyer journey and understanding this before we decide how we're going to get traffic to our website is you have to kind of have a general sense of where your buyers are at. And then I'm going to walk you through the different ways that you can target them based on where they're at in their journey. Because if you're reaching them at the top of the funnel and they haven't even really started searching yet, they're not really going to be as ready to pull out their credit card as middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. So these 6 different channels I'm going to talk about today, some of them are better for people that are ready to buy, and some of them are better for casting a wide net, and some of them are better for the middle. So that's essentially how this kind of comes into play. So when we're trying to attract people at these different buyer stages, basically what we're looking for, this is sort of a general overview. If you're at the top here, for the people that don't even know they have a problem, you're going to be casting a really wide net. You're going to be using broader keywords, and then some channels that allow you to cast that wider net. For people kind of at the top that are already in search mode, you can use phrase keywords, things that are related to those pain points. Basically, we're just narrowing it down as we go down the funnel. And then for people that are searching and ready to buy, exact match keywords. So you're actually providing your solution at this point. And then when they're finally at that very, very, bottom part of the funnel, that's where you actually have that call to action. So I think where a lot of people go wrong is oftentimes too focused on the bottom of funnel, the people that are ready to buy. And not only does that get rid of 97% of the people that you could target, but the people that are ready to buy, that's where, I mean, you're at that point, you're just throwing your product at them. You're throwing, here's my call to action. Here's my pitch. And most people aren't ready for that. So that's where, focusing on some of these middle things, both with the ways we're going to drive traffic to our website, but also maybe the words you're using on your website, the words you're using in your other lead generation strategies, it's going to make a difference. And we'll go all through all of that in detail. So the first part, just move this. Yeah. So the first part is brand awareness. So for the people that have no clue that they even need you yet, but they need you, they need your service, they need your product. The best ways to cast a really bright net is with search engine traffic, so organic search engine, and organic social media. So basically what this is this is not paid ads, right? We're just reaching people in a wide net through social media and through Google traffic. And the reason this works is because you can use broad search terms. So you're able to cast a really wide net and you can kind of put it out there and then see what works. And this is just going to get to people in a wider scope. So these are people that need your services and products, but they're not there yet. So that's the very, very, very widest part of that funnel. So then we're kind of one tier down. So we're at the top of the funnel. So these are people that know they have an issue, but they haven't really considered a solution yet. They haven't really gotten to research mode yet. So you want to cast a wider net, but you want to start narrowing down. So 3 ways you can do that. Search engine optimization. So SEO is a really great way to do that. But instead of casting like a really wide net and something that's really more generic, you're going to be narrowing down your optimization process. So this is where curating specific kind of content towards these people, like these are people that they have an issue and they're probably not online searching, but they might be soon. You can start creating specific content towards them. That's where like blogs and YouTube can really help you narrow that down with what I consider money-making research terms, right? So this is research terms that people are going to type in with the intent of actually purchasing a product or a service to solve their problem, as opposed to an informational term, which is, someone's just asking Google a question. So these days, when someone types in what I consider an informational keyword, something like, how long does milk stay good for? You're going to get an AI response in these search engines. And that's just an informational keyword. People are no longer going down the articles to find information for that. But if someone's typing in something like, how much does a website designer cost? AI will bring up results for that, but that's what I would consider more of a money-making research term because they're asking that question in relation to eventually purchasing a service. So while the people that are top of funnel that probably haven't considered a solution yet may not be researching yet, providing content specific on these terms is going to put it there for when they're ready. Social media, organic social media is another lead generation strategy that, it works for a broad net and it also works for a slightly narrower net because again, you can put out specific content addressing those pain points and it's going to cast, you're going to get to people that you've never gotten to before. And then email marketing and lead generation. So you want to kind of combine, if you're going to do SEO with a more specific phrases to get to people that kind of already know they have a problem. You can address those problems in your blogs, in your YouTube, but you want to have a way to collect that information. So that's where collecting emails so that you can do newsletters. And yeah, you want to start collecting those emails because these are people that are not even remotely ready to buy. But if you do pique their interest, you want to give them away. You want to get them into your funnel. So basically the difference between the broad awareness, like the broad brand awareness and this kind of initial top of funnel is in the very top one, people aren't you're just kind of casting a net and kind of getting your brand in front of them for the first time, they're probably not going to take action. But you go a little bit farther down the funnel, they already know they have an issue. Maybe they've seen you more than once, they've seen you on social, they've Googled something, they've seen you there. At minimum, you want to get them into your funnel. And this is where collecting their email is so critical, or getting them to follow your social media or something like that, right? So you don't want them to, you want to get them into your funnel, into your buyer journey, in order to continue moving them through the funnel and getting your brand in front of them. So this is where email marketing and lead magnets, attached to your social media posts, attached to your blogs, attached to your YouTube, is going to allow you to cast a slightly more narrow net, but still catch people that maybe aren't ready to buy. But if you can get their email, you're way farther ahead at that point. So then we're moving down the funnel a little bit. So these are people that they have an issue and they're actively researching. So we can get into quite a few more specific lead generation strategies here, because these people are much warmer. They don't quite have their credit cards out. We're not to that top 3%. They're not ready to get an offer from you. They're not ready to buy, but they know they need a solution and they're in research mode, and they're going to be open to, comparing different choices. So the SEO that we talked about before is really great. I put this on the former slide because I feel like setting up that ground foundation, like if you're kind of targeting both top of funnel and middle of funnel with blogs and YouTube and email marketing, by the time people get here, by the time they're in the middle of funnel, you already have this SEO strategy and social media strategy set up, right? So that kind of bleeds over a little bit. And then here we also have social media organic, but the new ones, so SEO is the same, social media is the same, email is the same, but we have some new stuff in here that can be used to target people that are actually in research mode. So the first is paid advertising. So Google ads or paid social media ads. This is the paid advertising is much better for targeting people that are already warm or very warm. You don't want to, in general, you don't want to use paid advertising to target people that don't even know they have a problem, or they're not even really researching, because they're just not going to be motivated to take action. But by the time they're researching and they're motivated to find a solution, this is where paid advertising can be much more effective. So for Google ads, PPC is called pay per click. And basically what this means, the reason it's pay per click is with Google ads, you're literally paying every time someone clicks on your ad. That's why it's PPC, pay per click. So with Google ads, you can choose how specific you want your phrases to be. So when you're setting up your Google ads, you can use a broad match, you can phrase match, exact match, and then you can eliminate phrases and keywords that you know are not driving quality traffic. So in this stage, paid ads, you can use phrase match, and it's not quite as narrow as exact match. It's not as broad match, but phrase match, which is one of the choices when you're going through your Google ads, will bring you people kind of in this middle of funnel. Social media, you can continue your organic strategy, but this is where you can start to do, if you want some paid advertising. Social media paid ads is a little bit different than Google ads. So with social media, you're paying per impression. So basically with Google ads, you are paying per click. So you are targeting people that literally have their credit card out, or are in this research mode, and they're very ready to buy. With social media, you're interrupting something to get their attention, right? So you're paying per impression. So it's cheaper to pay per impression, but it's not as high quality of a lead, because you're interrupting someone's, people go on social media to zone out, to have some fun, to catch up with friends, and ads interrupt our experience. So we're paying per impression. It's cheaper to pay by impression, but it's not as high quality. Whereas Google ads, you are catching people when they're literally in research mode. You're not interrupting them. You're getting to the top of the Google page when they're really ready to dive in. So it's more expensive to pay per click, but it's a higher quality lead in theory. So that's sort of paid ads versus social media ads in a nutshell. I think both are appropriate for middle of funnel, because people are ready to start. They're actively looking for a solution. It's just that, the paid ads experience on Google is just a different animal than social media ads. because you're catching them on different platforms. So depending on your audience, where they spend their time, that'll play a factor in that. And then I've added some other things in here that I think are more relevant for someone that's actually looking for a solution. So referrals, partnerships, and affiliate programs. So this kind of comes into that networking piece. So referrals and partnerships and affiliate programs, these all basically fall under the umbrella of referral. I mean, they're all types of referrals, right? So someone that is they are actively looking for a solution. They're ready to be referred to someone. They may not be quite ready to buy, but they're researching. So you don't want to necessarily consider any kind of referral strategy earlier in the funnel because people either don't even know they have a problem or they do, and they're just not even looking. It's not going to be effective. But by this point, by the time they know they need a solution, referral strategies are great. Now, what I love about referral strategies, and this can work for e-commerce too, but the conversion on a referral strategy is super high. So for example, on a Google ad or a paid social media ad or even SEO, organic, all this stuff, I mean, you might be looking at 1% conversion, 2% conversion. Maybe with Google ads, you could get up to like a 10% conversion if it's an exact match phrase and you have a really great landing page. But with referrals, it's typically like 20% conversion rate, something like that. It's much higher. People, the trust factor is there. I mean, we all know if you get a referral for somebody and you trust that person, I mean, you don't even really, you go into it with trust, right? So like clients that come to me and they've been referred, I mean, frankly, most of them don't even look at my website. I mean, they just come to me, they've been referred, they already trust me to start. So the conversion on that is super high. So just to clarify what I mean between referrals, partnerships, and affiliate programs. So referrals are direct referrals. So from a former client, right? Something like that. Partnerships is, for example, if you are working, like referring back and forth to someone that's like in your industry. So as an example, I work with, some graphic designers and some people that do marketing and PR and services that I don't really offer. So I refer to them and they refer to me because they don't really want to deal with websites. Those are like partnerships. And then there's the affiliate programs, which is more for, if you're offering some sort of digital asset or productized type thing, then you can set up an affiliate program where your audience literally promotes it for you. So, and affiliate programs work really well for e-commerce too, because your audience is literally promoting your products for you. And then, of course, we have email marketing and lead magnets on here, same as the other slide, because there is some crossover. At both top of funnel, middle of funnel, we want to be collecting those email addresses, getting them to follow our social media. We're not at the very bottom of the funnel yet. People don't necessarily have their credit cards out. So any way that you can collect their information, get them to get in contact with you, is going to be really important for this stage. And lastly, bottom of funnel. So these are the hottest leads you can get. This is the 3%. This is the people that are ready to buy. They've done some research. They've probably run into your brand a few times. They may already know you. They may already trust you. So things that lead generation strategies you can target. SEO is good at any stage because even with organic SEO, if you're really targeting those exact match keywords, the money-making keywords, like for me would be website designer Durango. If someone types that in, they are literally looking to hire someone in Durango right now. I mean, that's a money-making keyword. That's targeting someone that's ready to buy. Paid ads for Google, I think paid ads at this kind of bottom of funnel is where you get your highest return on investment, because you can run a Google ad specific with those exact match keywords. And you're not casting as wide of a net, but in theory, if you have the right keyword set and you've gotten rid of all the ones that are going to send crappy traffic and you're just getting people that are ready to buy, that can convert pretty high, right? Because you're reaching those people, with those exact match phrases. And then all of the referral choices, referrals, partnerships, and affiliate programs are really good for this stage as well, because again, people are ready to buy, they get a trusted referral, they're in, right? So let's keep going. All right, so just to recap what we went over, and we're going to basically talk about each one of these a little bit more in depth. So we talked about organic SEO, that's optimizing your website for Google and search engines without paying any money, at least not per click, per ad. You might have to pay a person, or invest in yourself, but it's organic. Paid ads on Google, that's the pay per click where you're actually paying every time someone clicks on your ad. Social media, whether it's organic or a paid ad through social media. Referrals, direct referrals from clients and past customers. Affiliate programs, when someone's promoting your product or services for you and getting a commission. And then partnerships, which is like network partnerships, people in your industry or industry adjacent, sending you stuff back and forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a moment to kind of get into each one of these. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what they are and how you can get into them and how you can actually use them for your business. So organic search traffic. Organic search traffic, it's not just Google. So Google right now has a monopoly over everything, and it has the biggest market share. So in general, I don't know, I think it's like 97% of your traffic's probably going to come from Google just because they kind of have monopolized everything. But when I think about organic search traffic, it's not just Google. It can be other search engines like Bing, Yahoo, etc. Now we have AI search, AI search, which is when someone finds you through any of those AI generators, such as ChatGPT, Perplexity, there's like a lot of them now. And then also social media and YouTube. I think all of this falls into organic search traffic because each one of these platforms, like YouTube, has its own built-in, it basically has its own built-in search engine. And YouTube will show up on Google. So if you have a YouTube strategy, for example, you have a chance of showing up on Google. You have a second chance of showing up within YouTube search, right? So those are two search engines. You have two chances of showing up. And then you have an extra chance of showing up through Google, just through your YouTubes. So very highly effective. Now, social media is the same thing. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, they all have their own built-in search engines, basically. So I kind of like to think of organic search as, any of these platforms have their own search engines. So, yeah, the examples, I would, anytime you're thinking about organic search, which is basically someone finding you on a search engine or a social media network, you want to have some sort of way to collect their information. And that's where blogs and websites can come in really, or blogs and lead magnets can be really helpful to direct them towards the email marketing. So just to talk a little bit more about paid ads. So when I'm talking about paid ads, we are talking about both Google ads and social media ads as typically, and social media ads does include YouTube as well, right? Because they are a social media platform. So I already kind of went into the difference between Google ads versus social media, so I'm not going to spend much more on here, but we can do some more questions at the end for those of you that are interested in kind of what it takes to get into that. The one thing I will say, my recommendation for businesses is to always do organic first, right? So I always recommend that you focus on organic search first, and figure out, you kind of hone in what keywords you're using, what content's working. You have a way to collect those email addresses. You have a way for people to get in touch with you. Your website's optimized. Then when you're ready, and you have more people at the bottom of the funnel, more warm leads, paid ads is better when you're farther along in the process. So organic search can work at any point. Paid ads is better when you have warmer leads, right? Middle and bottom of funnel. Because like we talked about, you have to be pretty specific because you're actually paying money. So if you're not really specifically targeting people that are actually ready to buy or in research mode, you're just going to lose money. Okay, so referrals, just seeing a spelling mistake. So referrals have a very high return on investment. We've already talked about the three different kinds, direct referrals, affiliate programs, and partnerships. I think what I'll do is, at the end, if anyone has any questions, more specific questions about how to create partnerships, affiliates, and referrals, we can talk about it. Basically, this is just sort of, I wanted to touch base on each one of these different strategies, but if any of you have any questions at the end, we can talk about, if there's one in particular that you think might work for your business, we can get a little bit more detailed as to how, like, what does it actually mean to execute it, right? Like, it's one thing to talk about it here, but if you're like, well, Cara, like, I think an affiliate program could work well for me. I have no clue how to start. We can get to that a little bit at the end. All right, so I do want to talk about doing a cost benefit analysis. So up until this point, we have talked about the buyer journey, identifying if people are basically a cold, warm, or hot lead, and depending on where they're at and if they're ready to buy, different ways to direct them. And we talked about organic traffic versus paid traffic versus referral traffic and some of those different types. So hopefully you're starting to get a little bit of an idea of the kind of people you're targeting, maybe where they're at. What I would recommend is actually mapping out that buyer journey. So you literally take out a piece of paper or Google Doc or something and say, okay, if people are, at the very broad part of the funnel, what kind of stuff are they Googling? What kind of questions are they asking? What kind of problems are they having? Work your way down. Okay, now they sort of know they have an issue, but they're not researching yet. Where are they at? Okay, now they're researching. What kind of stuff are they typing into Google? Are they on TikTok? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Google? Like, where are my people? And what kind of stuff are they asking? What kind of stuff are they researching? And then you get down to the very bottom of the funnel. Okay, for the people that I know are ready to buy, again, are they Googling? Are they looking on YouTube? Where are they looking for answers, and what are they asking? What are the questions? So you can literally just take like a Word doc and like write all this stuff out. Based on that, you can come back to the slide share today and kind of start thinking, okay, so for these people, I'm going to target them. I'm going to do some SEO. And for these people, maybe some paid ads might work. And for these people, XYZ. So as you're going through that process, the reason I'm bringing that up is because the last piece of this presentation is running a cost benefit analysis. And basically what this is I'm going to give you some tools to look at these different lead generation strategies and say, okay, I think SEO might work here and paid ads might work here. But before you dive into that, you need to say, okay, how much is it going to cost me to do this strategy? How much is it going to cost me to do SEO? How much is it going to cost me to do a paid ad? How much is it going to cost me to, how much time is it going to cost me to build a network and find referrals? And then based on that, how much money do I stand to make from said investment? And then narrowing down, okay, targeting these people with this lead generation is going to be the least amount of money and time for the most amount of revenue. That's what a cost benefit analysis is. So one of the biggest places that I see businesses go wrong is they just start throwing darts. Okay, I'm going to do some ads. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to do some SEO. I'm going to see what happens. And you don't really understand, well, who am I targeting? Are they there? One. And, two is, okay, great. You want to spend money on SEO, but how much do you need to spend? And do you stand to actually make money from that? Or maybe for you, you can spend less money on social media and make more profit, right? So that's what a cost benefit analysis is. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the way I see cost benefits analysis, on the way I do it for me and my clients. So basically what you want to do is when you're considering these various strategies, maybe you have one or two in mind, you're thinking SEO or you're thinking paid ads or social media or referrals. First is investment. How much will the strategy cost you? And both time and money, right? Because as business owners, our time is the most valuable asset we have. So even if you're DIYing it, I can't tell you how many times I have put together some sort of product or service or something, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, put a lot of time into whatever it was I was putting out there, put it out there and realized nobody wanted it, and it was a flop. I mean, this has happened to me multiple times. Thankfully, on the flip side, I've also put things out there that did really well, that did move the revenue needle and had a really high impact for my business. So if you take away nothing else from today's presentation, if you can, at this point in your business from here on out, focus on the things that are actually going to make you money, right? Rather than the things that are just going to cost you time and money with very little revenue. If you can get that formula figured out, that's what grows your business. I mean, that's just what grows your business. So when you're looking at these different strategies, think, how much money do I have to spend for yourself, for professional, whatever, and how much time? Maybe it's something that you have to put time into or you want to put time into. Of course, identifying where in the funnel are you targeting? If you're targeting people, farther up, the amount that you're going to have to invest is going to be a lot more because you have to catch their attention and drive them through the funnel before they actually spend money with you. So in theory, targeting people that are either warm or hot, middle or bottom of funnel that are more ready to buy, you're going to have a higher return on investment because they're ready to go. Granted, it's a smaller piece of the pie, 3%, et cetera. So you kind of have to balance that with the rest. But again, like spending more money at that bottom of funnel is going to get you, in theory, a higher return on investment than the top. So how many more warm leads are you going to reach within that funnel where you're targeting? What is the conversion rate of your marketing strategy? So one thing to consider is, and this is something that kind of, to a certain extent, has to be probably tracked. But that's where knowing that a referral strategy has a much higher conversion rate, it makes it so much more valuable, right? For me, anything under the referral umbrella is it's very low energy, very low investment, and very high on return because it's got a high conversion rate, like 20-something%. People come to you built in with trust. You're targeting people that are already pretty warm leads to start. I mean, you're just going to have a really high return on investment, which is why a lot of service businesses rely on various referral lead generation strategies for their business because it does work really well. The problem with that is you can't really control referrals, right? I mean, clients will refer when they refer, partnerships will refer when they refer. So you have to, in my experience, mix it up. You have your referral strategy, you nourish that, you nourish your partnerships, do affiliate marketing if it's something that works for you. And then also combine in, SEO and ads and things like that to balance it out so you're never in a dry spell. But the conversion rate, so if you are doing social media, if you're doing paid advertising, if you're doing SEO, always track your conversion rate. So be tracking how much money have I spent on this, how much time have I spent on this, and how much money am I making? Because you may want to jump ship sooner rather than later. That would be my recommendation. I have stuck out certain strategies way longer than I should have. For me, I tried like affiliate marketing for myself where I did for a while there, I was trying to like write a bunch of blogs and make money off of, affiliate links. And there are people out there that have made a ton of money doing that, and it didn't work for me in my business. And I stuck with it way too long and just wasted so much money. So tracking that conversion rate of how much time or money you're spending versus what you're making, if you can jump ship sooner rather than later on something that's not working, is going to be very, very valuable. And then also tracking the conversion rate of your website or landing page. So I would recommend going back to the last Website Wednesday we did where we talked about conversions, website conversion rate, because if you are spending any kind of time or money, like we talked about at the beginning of this presentation, to drive traffic to your website, I see a hand raised. Give me 5 minutes and then we'll be in the Q&A. We'll go first. You want to at least know how well your website or landing page is working. So the best way to do that is just to track your analytics. So in the last Website Wednesday, we talked about using Google Analytics and Search Console. And the idea being is if you're like, okay, here's how much traffic my site's getting, here's where it's coming from, and based on those individual channels, this is where I'm making my money. And we went over that in the last Website Wednesday. And so if you at least have that data, you can be tracking what's working. So you can be like, okay, Google, organic Google has the highest conversion rate on my website. Okay, that's working for me. Let me spend more time on that. Oh, actually, Instagram, I get all these conversions from Instagram. My buyers must be on there. Okay, I'm going to scale that, right? So I think that's actually the last slide on the cost benefit analysis. Yeah, okay. So we'll jump into some Q&A. This is my website, Websites by Cara. That's how you reach me. QR code goes to my website. So this is this. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to leave this up while we talk for a little bit, just in case you want to grab the link, but let's go ahead and do some Q&A. So yeah, Helen, if you want to, actually, I'm going to.
I was going to type it out and then I was like, I can't
Yeah.
do that. So, right. I've heard that having backlinks to your website can be helpful. So I was kind of reaching out to random other people. So I run a local walking tour business. So I was reaching out to like Uncover Colorado or Mesa Verde Country and like, hey, do you want a guest blog as long as you link to my page? Like, I don't need to get paid. I want to highlight our area of Colorado and I want a backlink. Um, so when you were talking about blogs, that just like, is that an affiliate link? Is that?
It's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
And before I answer that, anyone else that has a question, you can put it in the chat. You can do what Helen's doing. You can actually like speak and talk to me, but you can also put it in the chat if you don't want to get on the camera. Yeah, that's a great question. So affiliate links are different than backlinks. So backlinks, basically the way Google kind of sees it is if you have a link, if someone else in your industry or niche links back to your website, Google says, oh, yeah, they must have valuable information. They must be an expert in what they're talking about because someone else is linking to it. So the more backlinks you can have, the more, people that are linking to your blog posts and linking to your website. It's basically kind of a popularity contest, and it helps Google understand that like you're the best, you know what you're talking about, you have a good website. So anytime you can do backlinks like what you're talking about, where it's like a legitimate, like actual article with real information and they link back to your site, that's fantastic because it will help you rank higher just in general in organic search. And as a bonus, it'll also help you rank higher in AI because the way AI works, I mean, we're all still trying to figure out how AI works, but in general, we're realizing that brand awareness is very important for AI search. So the way AI search, and we're actually going to talk about this next month. I'm going to go over like the difference between Google and AI and all that. But in a nutshell, AI has creative reasoning. So that brand awareness and those backlinks are really important for AI search. So that's a backlink. And what you're doing is perfect. I mean, that is just going to help your website rank higher no matter what. Now, an affiliate link is, let's say you had um, uh, you said you offer a service, right? It's not a product, it's like a service. Yeah. So in your case, an affiliate link probably wouldn't work just because typically affiliate links are more for like productized services. So either productized digital services, or like actual physical products. So like, for example, I have some templates on my website and I set up like an affiliate program for my templates. So if someone uses their affiliate link, shares it on social media, and someone buys, they get a commission for that sale. You can do affiliate marketing for a service-based business, but it's more a little bit more manual. Like I have some people that I actually set up a custom landing page for them, and if someone comes to me through that landing page, through that contact form, then and signs up with me, I give them a percentage, a referral fee. So I would technically call that affiliate marketing, but it's not link based. So I'd say affiliate marketing, it works best for like productized services that can be packaged and sold, through an e-commerce process or if you could kind of tie it into that partnership thing and give people a commission. But technically, that how that ties into actual backlinks is like on my blog, I have affiliate links for like plugins that I'm promoting, right? That I use and I'm promoting. Like I trust them, and I mean they're legitimate. And I do get a small percentage if someone goes on my blog, clicks on that link, and purchases that product. But I actually mark those link as for SEO purposes. I mark them as sponsored. I actually like in the link itself, I mark it as a sponsored link to tell Google like this is an affiliate link. I make money if someone clicks on this. Technically, you're supposed to be transparent with Google. If you are doing an actual affiliate link where you're making commission, you're supposed to mark it as sponsored. In your case, you're not doing that. You're just getting like an authentic backlink. They link to your site. You just want to make sure it's a do follow link, not a no follow link. I don't know if you've run into that in your. So basically, um, most people will do a do follow link, and a do follow link basically tells Google follow this, mark it, like take note. However, in a website, when you put a link in, you can technically mark it as don't follow. And what that means is Google's not tracking that traffic back and forth. Most people, when you ask them for a link, it's going to be a follow link because like you have to actually tell it to be a no follow link. So people aren't going to take the time usually to like make it no follow. The only time you might get a no follow link is, for example, I listed myself. There was a directory. I was Googling various keywords, and there was a directory that came up over and over and over again for keywords that I was researching that I thought people might be searching for my services. So I got listed in the directory, and for I mean they're like a big directory, like their whole thing is SEO. It's like a big SEO directory basically. So they purposely had some no follow links because they're SEO people. They know what they're doing, you know. Um, it's still being listed in that directory. I still get traffic from those links. It's good for brand awareness, but it's a don't follow link, so it doesn't technically count as a backlink. But in your case, you know, you probably don't need to worry about it. I mean, you can definitely ask people, make sure it's a do follow link, but in most cases, people are just going to like put a link in and not pay attention, and it will be a do follow. But yeah, just kind of a nice, just an interesting thing to note that not all backlinks are counted. In your case, most of them should be, but technically there can be instances where they're not. So yeah, but that's separate from affiliate links, which technically affiliate links are do follow. They do count as backlinks for that company. Um, but but yeah, you're technically supposed to mark them as sponsored. So anytime I put a backlink in for a product I'm sharing, I mean they're getting backlink juice from that. So it's a win for them too. Yeah, unless I mark it as don't follow, which I don't because you know I don't care if they track that traffic back and forth. It's fine. Yeah. So any other questions? Anything for the chat? Just give people a minute here. Any hands raised? It might be good. Um, all right. Does anyone else before we call it good have any questions specific to like how to get started with SEO or how to get started with Google Ads or more information on, you know, cost benefit analysis and how much does, you know, Google Ads cost versus SEO, or I mean anything in the chat, any hands raised? I think we have maybe a question here.
Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, hi, thank you so much for your presentation. It was amazing.
Thank you.
But we are just startup and we are selling the products that help the women in developing countries like Africa, Asia. So that's what we are doing. And so we do not have that much budget. So I was trying to make it like organic, like SEO site better than just paid ads. I paid like almost 1,000 like last month, but I got like a $0 like a revenue for that. So
Yeah, pains me.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it happens all the time. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought like I used the keywords such as like a fair trade and like empowering the women's and bags and accessories, but still not getting that like much traffic. So do
Yeah.
you yeah, recommend
Um,
how
can
can
I
I?
ask,
Yeah.
yeah, can I ask two questions? One, did you use any kind of keyword research tool?
Yeah, I
Um,
use it at SEMrush.
okay,
They
good.
have a test trier, so I just use that one.
Yeah. Perfect, perfect. And what website are you on? Are you on like WordPress, Squarespace, Wix,
Shopify.
Shopify? Okay. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's a great question. Like if you're in the beginning of all of this, like how do you get started? So here's what I would recommend. So this is going to be kind of specific to you, but you have an e-commerce business. The best thing that you can do is optimize your collection pages. So with e-commerce, when you have lots of products,
Mhm.
it's unlikely that your individual products are going to rank because you probably have, like, let's say you have a furniture store. How many products are you going to have that have the word chair, right? So Google's looking and like, okay, this website has 50 products with the word chair. I don't know what to rank. So what Google does is it ranks category pages. So what I would recommend is don't try to optimize every single every single product.
Mhm.
Do two things: is optimize your category pages. So, for example, if you're a furniture store, you might have one category page that's like chairs, specific kind of chairs, handcrafted wooden rocking chairs or something. And then you might have another category page that's all your tables, and another one that's all of your, whatever. So focus on those individual category pages, optimize those with, find those keywords, optimize them in the title, in the URL, in the content. You can put some frequently asked questions on those
Mhm.
pages as well. That will really help. And then, yeah, and I mean, just your basic SEO guides. Like if you Google SEO, it tells you, put it in your heading and put it in your content. Like that stuff's all over the place. So optimize your category pages. That's first. The other thing, I'm going to give you two more suggestions. The other thing is make it really clear to Google that you're an authority in what you do, that you're an expert. So like an about page is really nice. Let Google know you're a real person in a real company. Include a bio with your expertise. What makes you an expert in your products, in your industry. So making it really clear to Google that people can trust you, you're like a real person. A blog strategy would be really good. If you can just post some blogs, because again, that'll help Google understand that you're an expert, that you're the best at what you do. So posting some blogs that are related to the products you're selling, just to show Google that you are an expert, you are trustworthy, so on and so forth. Helen's like nodding her head. She's been through all this. And then the last piece is to take those keywords that you found, put them into Google, like actually pull up Google, put those keywords in and see what's already ranking. So one of the biggest mistakes I see that when you're doing your own SEO, because no one knows to do this, I didn't know to do it until I got trained, is there's what we think a keyword is, and then there's what Google thinks a keyword is. So take your list of keywords, your top keywords, the top 10 keywords you're trying to rank for, put them into Google and see what shows up. So what you want is you want the search intent to match the page intent. So for example, if someone types in website design Durango, they are looking for a website designer locally based, and I want to make sure that my website has that kind of content, right? Because so people are looking for a homepage or looking for a service page. So in your case, type in your keywords, see what shows up in the top few results, and then do that on your website, right? So if you type in a particular keyword, and let's say a bunch of like collection pages show up for your competitors, look at their website. What do they have on those collection pages? Do they have frequently asked questions? Do they have feature products? Do they have testimonials? Social proof. That's another great one, is reviews, things like that. Social proof. So that would be my biggest things, is do your collection pages, see what's ranking, and just copy your competition. And then yeah, there was something else. You'll have to listen back to the recording. I feel like I gave a few suggestions, but yeah, those are my recommendations for getting started with DIY e-commerce SEO. So we are at 1. So is there anything else, Dyer? Anything else? We're good. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it back to you, and we will call it good for today.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here today. I'll get an email sent out, hopefully, yeah, by the end of today, with a link to Cara's slides, so you can kind of go back through at your own pace and have access to all that information. But thank you so much, Cara, for presenting, and thank you everybody for attending. Hope everybody has a lovely day.
Thank you so much for your help.